are watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Hello, I'm your Superintendent, Jason Manuel, with co-host Mason Grace. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Germantown Municipal School District's Spotlight on Excellence. Later in this show, we'll be joined by Jessica Minton in this week's Teacher Feature. And then we'll check in on the Houston High School Theater program. But now we'll kick off the show with a special student spotlight, a young student from Dogwood who is committed to training a guide dog. Haley, thank you for being here with us.
You're welcome.
Well, tell us about this other guest we have here. We said we have one special guest. It looks like we've got two special guests. Who's this?
This is Rexus.
Rexus? What type of dog is Rexus?
He is a Czechoslovakian black lab.
Oh, wow. Well, how long have you had Rexus?
We have had him for about 2 months.
2 months?
But he's 6 months, six and a half months old.
He's 6 months old. Oh, wow.
Is he from the area?
He's from California.
He's from California?
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us about your mom. What does she do for a living? Because obviously you didn't go out and find a guide dog. She must have had something to do with this too.
Well, she sells eye drops so it can prevent people from being blind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's going to be, I'm sorry, it's a boy. He's going to be at Dogwood. You're going to take him to school with you. So what will he be doing? Will he be sitting next to you in the classroom?
Well, he'll do that some of the time, and he'll also be in his cage.
That's pretty neat. So I know he's still young, but so eventually he'll be able to sit there during the day, and that's kind of what you're training him for, right? Training him to be able to walk around and sit with his what do you call him, I guess, his service partner or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, is it hard having a guide dog at home? Do you treat him the same way that you do a normal dog, or can you just play with him and enjoy him like you do your own dog?
You have to treat him differently. Like some of the, you have to be more strict with him, and you can't let him lay around. He has to be up and ready for everything.
So you're teaching him to work when he gets done with you.
Yes.
Now, do you have other pets besides Rexus?
Well, I have a turtle.
You have a turtle? Do y'all have any other dogs?
No, sir.
Is that part of it? Can you have other dogs for people when you get a guide dog? Or do they want you just to have him?
Well, he needs to have other dogs around him because so he can get used to being with them and not be scared of them.
So what's your favorite part of having Rexus?
Because I get to have an animal in school, and he always gets to be with me a lot of the
special.
time.
What's the hardest part of having Rexus?
He likes to steal things and spread toilet paper all around the house and eat crayons. And
So he's a little mischievous?
yes, sir.
He's like any little baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lab, and I know that we've put her through some training, and we kind of, I guess she kind of has someone that she kind of is my dog. She kind of listens to me when I talk. Like she'll obey my commands. Does she kind of stick around you and follow you around? Is she kind of like your dog at home? And
Yeah.
yeah. So do you throw the ball with her a lot and stuff?
Yes,
I know my dog loves to throw the ball. She's always chasing balls.
Yeah.
So when you have her with you at Dogwood and she's with you, she's just like a shadow, following you around, or are there certain things you have to do with her when she's at the school with you?
Well, I can't let everybody pet him, I guess, or he can't steal pencils from the kids or anything like that.
He probably still likes to chew, right? You Get those
Yeah.
pencils. Yeah. Well, so what benefits him? So you're taking him to school for a reason. It's a program, right? That's part of his training. So what benefits him for being in the school, being with the kids?
So, so that he can get more used to being around people and not focus more on his job.
Oh, good.
That's probably good training for the other kids too. Learn teach
Yeah.
them how to focus
Yeah.
when there's a dog in there, right? Just like he's.
Well, speaking of his job, you said your mom works for a pharmaceutical company that really deals with eye drops and,
Yeah.
and vision. So I guess he's going to be a guide dog for people who have vision impairments, who
Yes,
are
sir.
blind. Because they have other guide dogs who can smell, whether diabetics levels have dropped, who have other jobs too. But he's specifically trained for that.
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. Well, what will happen when you're done with Rexus? Where does he go from here?
Well, me and my mom will fly to California for his graduation, and he'll go to somebody else to, I guess they'll pretend to be blind, and or they'll help him, find elevators and doors and go to the check-in desk or anything like that.
How long will you have him? How many years?
1.5.
1.5 years?
Yeah.
And how long is his program, like his training program, how long does that last? Altogether, not just you, but how is it the rest of it also?
4 years.
4 years, okay.
So when you have him with you, are there other certain things that you're doing with him besides teaching him not to bite things and chew things?
Well, I'll teach him how to sit and stay and leave whatever he has in his mouth, and tell him to come and follow me outside or something like that.
And I see he's wearing a vest. Does that get him trained for wearing a vest all the time? Do y'all always keep him in a vest?
No, at home we'll take off his vest because it makes him itchy sometimes. But if we go to a store somewhere, or school, we'll have to put his vest on.
Oh, well, good.
Do you think this is something you will continue to do? Like after 1.5 years, he'll go to a different part. Do you think you might look for another dog to train at that point?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, this is really special, Haley. And this is something that we want all students to know, is that you're part of a bigger community and you're not just helping yourself. I know it's fun to have a dog that you enjoy, but you're going to help somebody who really needs a friend for life. So we thank you for representing Germantown Municipal Schools and being an example of what we want our students to be. We have to take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Houston High School theater program and peek in on the spring musical rehearsals for Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. But first, we'll watch this video, generously provided by Guide Dogs of the Desert, to get an idea of how a puppy like Rexus becomes a guide dog. Please stay with us.
Hi, I'm Tom Sullivan, and this is my special friend, Barron. I guess you could say that Barron and I are the end result of all the hard work done by puppy raisers like my special friend, Haley. You know, Haley, someday, after Barron's about, 14 months old, you're going to have to bring him back to Guide Dogs of the Desert. But it isn't a sad day, because when he comes back, he'll go into training, and someday he'll take his place as a guide dog, just like Barron, allowing a blind person like me to be independent. What a wonderful job for a dog, and what a very special job for a very special little girl named Haley. Thanks, Haley. Good luck, Rexus. We'll see you in about 1.5 years when you're out in the world just like Barron. Thank you.
You are watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Welcome back. I'm Superintendent Jason Manuel. Joining us now representing the Houston High School Theater Program, we welcome teacher and creative director Kell Christie, who gave us an inside look at the upcoming production, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, as well as give us some updates on recent developments in the theater department. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for letting me.
You're probably a little more natural at this than I am, because I think you've got a history in the theater and performing.
I do.
Well, tell us about your upcoming spring musical. This is a little different.
It is a little different because we're a new district and because there are some amazing things going on at the elementary and middle schools. I wanted to incorporate all of that talent into a show that everybody could participate in. And Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat has a children's chorus, and it's a great show. There's room for a lot of people to participate, and it's just so much fun. And most people have heard of it, they enjoy it. So I thought, this is the time. This is really the time to capitalize on that. And Angie and Lyndon, who are the two teachers who help direct the shows at the other schools, are really good friends of mine. And so we have been having conversations, and that's been a lot of fun.
Well, I've never seen the play Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
They don't make it easy to say, do they?
They don't. Can't even say it.
Yeah.
So what is the play about?
Well, it's the story, the biblical story of Joseph, the son of Jacob, where the 12 tribes of Israel come from. It's one of Andrew Lloyd Webber's earliest works, and it was written specifically for children to perform. As a sort of a cantata that was done at different churches and things. And that's, about around in the 80s, it got a Broadway treatment, and it really took off when Donny Osmond went on tour with it and starred as Joseph in the leading role. And I remember seeing it in the early 90s, and he came flying out over the audience, and I was like, oh, Donny Osmond! I just sort of geeked out and turned into a 7-year-old. But that's what it's about, and it tells that story through a lot of different musical styles. There's a calypso number, there's a French number, there's a country western number. It's just so much fun.
Well, what type of numbers are you looking at in the production? So we're talking about adding
How many people?
Yeah, how many people?
We're going to have about 18 children from the other schools, and in our production, there's at least 25, I would think, around that. So big numbers.
Wow.
It could go bigger. You could even have more if you really wanted to, but our stage is only so big, and that's probably about as many as we can fit.
Okay.
Well, you said 18 from the other schools. Does everyone have a representation each school?
Yeah, every school.
Every school.
Every school has representation. I'm very excited about that. That was really important to me.
Excellent.
I wanted all of our schools to be represented, and they are.
Well, speaking of stage, one of our things for Germantown Municipal Schools is improving what we had. We are obviously a little facility poor, but we have made huge dramatic changes in what we're doing. You've had some recently in the theater department, or?
Well, we haven't yet. We are looking for upgrading the lighting system is what we want to do. It hasn't really had a lot of attention since the school was built, and schools tend to think about auditoriums more as places to amass large groups of people as opposed to places to put on a play. Of course, it's a shared space. That's not a crazy thing to think. But we need to upgrade the electrical system so that we can have places to plug in more lights. That's our main problem, is that the places where you plug them in they're not as many as we need. And then we'll spend some money on a new lighting board. Ours is woefully out of date, and some new equipment. And that's what we're looking at, sort of our first step.
So we're looking at stages to improve the facility.
Yeah, which is what we need. The main thing, though, I was really raised by 2 educators myself, and you want that, and you want to be able to be sort of competitive with our neighbors and have the same kind of equipment. I think the children in our district absolutely deserve that. But really what you need is just the passion that these kids have for performing and the need to tell a story, and if you have those things, you'll have a good show.
Well, what I'm always amazed about GMSD is a lot of our teachers, especially in the fine arts, aren't just teachers. They actually live themselves in the program. So I think I understand that you do a lot of theater outside.
I do. Next, I will be in Theater Memphis's production of Into the Woods. I'll be playing Jack's mom. The last thing I was in that people recognized me for was The Addams Family. I was Grandmama Addams. And I've directed, I used to work at Theater Memphis. I was the artistic director there for many years. And so I directed and was in many things. I directed a production of Joseph there.
Oh, okay.
And Amadeus, Fiddler on the Roof, lots of different, Our Town, lots of different great shows.
So you said Into the Woods is coming up. Should we plug it? When is this one coming?
Into the Woods happens in March.
In March, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, I think one of the interesting things about the theater is it provides opportunities for students not just in front of the camera or on the stage. It provides other roles for them too. What are different things? So if I don't want to be out front,
In front of the people.
In front of the people,
well,
what can I do?
And you know, you make a really good point, because a lot of kids are incredibly uncomfortable in front of people. In fact, there's a sort of like, I really want to do it, but I kind of don't want. And they have such a tribe, these kids. They really sort of forge really important relationships, in fact, that last a lifetime, you know. And so you want to be a part of that, but performing might not be your thing. We have great stage managers, assistant stage managers. I have kids that help sew the costumes under the help of a designer. I have a kid who really has sort of connected with running sound, and he just on his own came up with some sound cues for the last production that we did, and he's taken it upon. He really is sort of self-learning the technology, and he's really and he's very connected to that, and that's been really exciting to see. So yeah, there's a ton of ways. In fact, most of the jobs in theater are in the technical areas, and they are also the things that your skills for can work in other areas as well.
Yeah. So about the people that are up front, not the ones running back with the stars, are they? Is that something that you teach or you foster in class, or is it kind of like a gift, like a gift that they have?
Whoa, well, that's the age-old question. You know, the thing is, the more times you get in front of an audience and realize that it doesn't kill you, the better you get.
I guess that's what I was asking. In the classroom, what are some of the things you do to
In
help
the classroom, we really focus on some of the same things they focus on in language arts, finding what the theme is. You know, theater connects to all of the curriculum areas. It connects to psychology, it connects to science, connects to physics when we talk about the technology aspects of it, music, dance, English, math. There's some math things that I've had to teach kids in geometry when you have to tape out the floor for the blueprint, for the floor plan, architecture. It connects to everything. I don't even remember the question. It was, what do I teach them in class?
Yeah.
So we focus on all of that kind of stuff, but we really focus on connecting to the characters and the empathy that should foster, which I think is something that we desperately need more and more as the world gets more and more connected and bigger. And then just the basics about looking forward, speaking out loud, speaking clearly, connecting with the language, that stuff.
Oh, well, I am very excited to see our first big district-wide production with the Spring Musical.
I'm excited too.
And I hope that everyone comes to see it. And thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much.
And that's in February, right?
It's February. It's February 5th through 8th. That's a Friday through a Monday. The evening shows are at 7, and the Sunday afternoon show is at 2:30.
Great. We have to take another short break. Don't miss the Germantown Municipal School District performance of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in February. Visit gmsdk12.org for ticket information. When we return, we'll talk with this month's exemplary teacher. Please stay with us.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Which planet are we living on? Earth! Right here.
What do you think it would be like to teach?
We're all a part of our...
Chances are, you have no idea.
We're gonna turn on the lights and everybody look up.
Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places, and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable. That's what it's like to teach.
You are watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Welcome back. I am Superintendent Jason Manuel, and you're watching GMSD's Spotlight on Excellence. We want to spend our last moments highlighting an exemplary teacher in a segment we call the Teacher Feature. With us today is Jessica Minton, a Riverdale teacher.
Hi.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, tell us, you recently received an award, something special, and we know what you're doing every day in class, but it's good to get recognition, especially on the state level. So tell us about what you were awarded.
Okay, so it's the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science Teaching, and so it's actually a national award, but they award it first at the state level. They do 5 honorees for science and then 5 for math. And then those will actually go on to Washington, D.C. to compete for 1 slot in each of the 50 states for math and 1 for science.
Oh, that's exceptional. So
when is that? When you?
We're just kind of on a hold. I know the 2015, the 2013 were awarded this upcoming summer. It's a lag because there's 102 people that win from all over the country. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of applicants on those state finalists that make, they have to go through in Washington, D.C. to pick out the 2 people from each state that they're going to recognize.
And so I'm sure that you're competing with people all over the country.
I am.
How do you even get nominated for this award?
I was actually surprised. I went to a conference and they gave us information about it and told teachers, they told parents, they told administrators, students, you're nominated by somebody, whether it's your peer or somebody in your class or something. And so I got an email that said that I was nominated. It won't tell me who, but it'll tell me that I'm nominated. And then I had the chance to either agree to the nomination or decline it. And so I agreed to it, and then there's a huge process that you go through. And so the first, I had to have like recommendation letters. I had to have proof of working, where I worked, all of that. And then I had to tape a 45-minute class, and I did 3 of my classes last year. Did 3 45-minute videos, watched them, seen which one I thought was going to be the best. Then you have to do a 12-page paper narrative about that, answering very specific questions about teaching and your teaching style and differentiation styles and how do you work with all of your students and how do you motivate them. And then you had a 10-page paper on top of that that was supplemental stuff that they needed. And then just a quick 2-page, after all that, the quick 2-page essay on how you felt like why you excel in the classroom, which is hard for me because I feel it's all about my students and not about me. So that one was the hardest part for me. And then you submit it all, and then I found out in the middle of the summer that I was one of the 5 state science nominations for the state of Tennessee.
Exceptional. Well, how long have you been at Riverdale?
This is my 2nd year.
2nd year there. Where were you before Riverdale?
I was at Grandview Heights before then, and then I taught high school at Jefferson County on the other side of the state.
Oh, wow. So have you always been math, science focused?
My mom said when I was 4, I came home from, I started school a year early, so she told me I came home from kindergarten and she asked what I was doing, and I kind of ignored her, put my hands on my hips and told her I was going to be a teacher forever, so watch me. So she said I never did, and then I like to tear things apart, put things back together, question things, so it never baffled anybody that I became a science teacher. They all were waiting for it.
Do you think it's helped you to have taught at different levels?
I've taught everything 6 through 12. So biology, physical science, honors. I'm trained AP, biology, and environmental science, 6th grade math, STEM now. I've got 3 STEM classes this year. So I feel like it's one of those, if I'm a lifelong learner, my kids will be. And so I can really make it special for them each year.
Do you have a favorite
class or what subject? I've got a lot more freedom in STEM. So I know the push is always these, these test grades and all that. So I feel like just being able to be myself and have a lot of fun. The STEM classes are a lot of fun. I get to kind of go outside the box with some of them. But I'm kind of biology, probably background is what I have. My degree's in biology and ecology. But I mean, the video actually that I did for this award, we did edible cars. And actually tested speed and acceleration on their own cars on a ramp that I built myself. So I can't say that I've got, I love it all. I love it all.
For the average person, what's an edible car? Exactly.
So Usually, you know, you get like Matchbox cars or you do something and you race them and they can test, because you can't build in a speedometer, and obviously I'm not going to take 8th graders out and give them in a car and say speed up to this much and look at your speedometer. And I wanted to make it fun, so one of the big pushes for the state is to do your engineering design process and get the kids really to think outside the box. And so what I made them do is they had to design and come up with blueprints for a car that was made out of everything that was edible. It could be anything in the world that it was edible. And so some of the challenges were, you know, what are kids allergic to? What kind of stuff can they do? And so after making the blueprint, they actually had to build a model. Now, I was not designing any of these, and then they had to race them. And since they can do their own timing and they can get their distance, they can go back through and look at the mathematical side of it and look at what their speed was, look at what their acceleration was, and then figure out whose car was the best based on that.
Wow. Well, tell us about advice for new teachers. You've been doing this for a while, and, and I think the best thing about teaching is it's never perfect.
No.
You try things and some work, and you try other things, and you have to change gears. What advice would you give new teachers?
I will tell you the best piece of advice that I had ever gotten came from a professor of mine, and he told me 2 things. He said, when you become a teacher, you can teach for 1 year and repeat it 30 times. And a lot of people do that with your career. Or you can teach 1 time and change that so you're actually teaching 30 years. Your content is going to be the same, but the question is what do you do in the classroom every day? And so for new teachers, what I can tell you, don't be afraid to fail, because that doesn't mean that you're a bad teacher. That just means that, you know, something happened. So don't be afraid to try and get to know your kids. That's one of the biggest things that I look at is, regardless of what you're looking at, once I know my kids and I get there, whether it's in the classroom or whether being a part of their lives on the outside basketball games or anything, once you get to know them, you'll know what to try and what to do and have fun. That's your big thing. They know when you have fun. So
I've walked down the STEM hall a few times, and I've had to step over robots. I've had to dodge catapults and slingshots coming at me. So what's been your favorite, quickly, what's been your favorite project to do?
Teaching them Tinkercad right now. We're doing the 3D ornament project right now, and being able to get them and then tying it into getting them to interview real world. I've brought in a lot of engineers in the field, and making those connections are huge for me.
Excellent. Well, thank you, and
Thank
you
you
for representing Germantown Municipal Schools.
Thank
and we
you.
look forward to great things from your classes, whether it's your STEM classes or science classes.
Thank you.
Well, that's all we have time for on this month's edition of Spotlight on Excellence. As we close out the show, I'd like to take time to wish everyone in the district a Happy New Year, ringing in 2016 with excellence always. But first, if you'd like more information about this or any other show on Germantown Municipal Television, visit us on our website at www.gmtvonline.org. Until next time, this has been Superintendent Jason Manuel for this month's installment of the Germantown Municipal School District's Spotlight on Excellence.